Here is every week's most shocking moment from the 23-24 NFL season. And I may include more than one moment if they were wild enough. Week 1. The Cowboys completely embarrassed the Giants 40-0. But the number one most shocking moment of Week 1 goes to Aaron Rodgers. After the most electrifying opening ceremony with Aaron Rodgers running out of the tunnel with the American flag, he tore his Achilles on the 4th snap of the season.
Protection breaks down and time runs out. Down goes Rodgers on the sack for Leonard Floyd.
He's down. He's down.
No. This is just like Scatman Crothers flying all the way from Florida, getting into a snowcat, going all the way up the mountain in the middle of a snowstorm just to get to the Overlook Hotel in time to get an axe in the chest.
What's crazy was the Jets still won in dramatic fashion on a punt return in overtime.
Gibson on the return, near side, and he's gonna go! Jets win it!
But this was all vastly overshadowed by the news about A-Rod, which just devastated Jets fans as they slowly realized Zach Wilson would be their starter the rest of the way. Week 2. Injury alert, Nick Chubb, the Browns' star running back on Monday Night Football, suffered such a gruesome knee injury that they wouldn't show the replay. And just listen to this crowd reaction.
Is not to be seen.
I don't know if I've ever heard a crowd collectively gasp louder than that. Now, on a lighter note, the most shocking game result of the week goes to the Broncos-Commanders game. On the last play, losing by 8, the Broncos were down to their last gasp and converted on a miraculous Hail Mary.
By time, launch it, moon ball, moon ball!
And it's caught! And Denver's prayer is answered!
Only to fail the 2-point conversion and lose anyway.
To the end zone, batted down and incomplete!
Week 3. The most shocking moment of this week wasn't the heavily favored Cowboys getting embarrassed by Josh Dobbs and the Cardinals.
So that one's picked off! It's Kaiser White!
No, this week had something truly unexpected take place. The Miami Dolphins dropped 70 points on the Denver Broncos. This was the most by any team since 1966. 726 offensive yards, 10 touchdowns, and they could have had more.
You're going to see the handshake between the coaches here. This will be interesting in a game that almost defies description.
Week 4. This was the week of the blowout. 10 of the 16 games were decided by 2 touchdowns or more, and 8 of those were decided by 3 scores or more. But the real talk of the NFL was highlighted by 2 individual performances. Khalil Mack had 6 sacks.
Look out for Mack!
The most in a single game in 16 years. But more shocking was the performance of rookie 5th-round receiver Puka Nacua. Nacua was not a name anybody was talking about before the season, but through 4 games, he was dominating.
Across the middle, that's a one-handed grab by Puka Nacua, who picks up 9 and just picks up where he's left off the first couple of weeks.
And he set an NFL record for the most completions by a rookie through 4 games. In this 4th game, he caught 9 passes for 163 yards and the game-winning touchdown in overtime.
Stafford throws. There he is. Nacua to the end zone. Rams win.
Week 5. The previous week, the Patriots suffered their worst loss of the Belichick era, losing by 35 points to the Cowboys. Despite playing at home in Week 5, the Patriots were humiliated once again.
Jones up, hit by Granderson, intercepted on the ricochet. That's Matthew for 6.
Losing 34-0 against the Saints. This felt like rock bottom for the Belichick era Patriots.
3, that'll do it. Patriots get shut out at home. And they're 1-4 for the first time since the 2000 season.
Plain and simply, we got to start all over, and slow start, and it just couldn't ever really get the game under control.
Week 6. By this point, of the 32 franchises, only 2 undefeated teams remained, the Eagles and the Niners, both of whom were favored big in their Week 6 matchups. But there may not have been a better week for the phrase, any given Sunday. Up by 2 with 2 minutes remaining, and a first down wins it, Hurts threw a terrible interception.
Over the middle, it's intercepted! Picked off by Tony Adams! Mahomes!
setting up the Jets for the eventual game winner. Meanwhile, the Niners, despite possessing a 10-point lead early over the Browns, PJ Walker, Cleveland's practice squad quarterback, did just enough to help lead Cleveland back into the game
What a catch!
to take the eventual lead, and the Niners missed the game-winning field goal as time expired. All in all, these two NFC juggernauts lost to teams playing with their backup quarterbacks. Week 7. There were a handful of interesting moments. The Browns beat the Colts after some horrific calls by the referees.
Legal contact, defense.
The Vikings upset the 49ers. The NFL was really starting to annoy fans with Taylor Swift, and the Lions got pummeled by the Ravens. But the two big shockers were Mac Jones, after struggling so bad throughout the season, led a game-winning drive versus the Bills.
Jones swings it, touchdown!
And the other moment was the Bears. With a record of 1-5, and despite looking like one of the worst teams in football, the Bears were led by their undrafted rookie, Tyson Bagent.
Still looking, a little pump, and Bagent gonna coast out of bounds.
And they blew out the Raiders.
With time, throws it short, Foreman with the catch, Foreman to the end zone.
Week 8, another injury alert. Kirk Cousins, who had gone most of his starting career without missing any time, suffered a torn Achilles, seemingly ending the Vikings season. The most shocking individual performance of this week goes to rookie Will Levis. In his first career start, Levis made Titans fans rejoice after throwing 4 touchdowns.
He's got it! Touchdown, Tennessee!
Easily the craziest rookie debut of the season. And for the most shocking game, that goes to the Broncos again, who not only beat the Chiefs, but won handily.
4th and 22. Mahomes getting away from Benito. It downfield and it's intercepted.
This marked their first victory in Kansas City in 17 tries. Week 9. After the Cousins injury, the Vikings traded for Josh Dobbs. This meant that Dobbs had been traded twice in the same season. Amazingly, with only days to prepare and learning teammates' names on the sidelines, he was thrust into the game versus the Falcons. Played a great game, led his team down the field, including this ridiculous 4th down conversion.
Dobbs on 4th down, the pressure's coming. He gets away for the moment, but look out from behind. He's going to get the first down. He's going to get more than that.
And scored the eventual game-winning touchdown with 20 seconds to go. But this wasn't the only shocker worth mentioning. In a shootout between the Bucs and Texans, rookie CJ Stroud put up one of the greatest performances of any player throughout the season, throwing for a massive 470 yards and 5 touchdowns, including the game winner with 6 seconds to go.
To the end zone, touchdown! Tank Dell!
Week 10. There were a handful of noteworthy deja vu moments. Dobbs won again, Stroud led another game-winning drive, and the Cowboys blew out the Giants for the second time. The most shocking player was Deshaun Watson, who, after playing his best game as a Cleveland Brown, going 14-14 in the second half,
Watson looking to run. Able to get the pass away.
and leading a comeback victory in Baltimore, was announced the next day as out for the rest of the season. Turns out he played that entire second half with a broken shoulder. For the most shocking moment in a game, amazingly, the Broncos appear yet again. On Monday Night Football, after a hideous game that included many turnovers,
This pass is caught. Sutton balls out. Stays in bounds.
the Bills set the Broncos up for the game-winning field goal after a pass interference.
For Judy. There is contact and a flag by Taron Johnson.
But the Broncos missed the kick at the end. Bills win. Oh, wait a minute.
Wait, there's a flag in the end zone. In the end zone.
12 men on defense.
12 men on defense. Oh my goodness.
Turns out, the Bills had too many men on the field, which led to a re-kick.
Good snap, good hold. Kick, perfect.
What a brutal loss for the Bills. Hopefully things don't get worse for them this season. Week 11. The Denver Broncos again? Wow. In one of the least interesting Sunday Night Football matchups of the season, the ending to this game was wild.
They bring 3 again. Wilson going to scramble, then lofted. And it's hold in with...
After not scoring a touchdown all night, with a minute left, Sutton made this awesome catch.
Wilson throwing, it's up for grabs, it is caught for the touchdown!
But truthfully, the most shocking moment of Week 11 was a pass that wasn't caught. In the Super Bowl rematch, played in Kansas City, it looked like the Chiefs were going to take the lead on this deep bomb.
Valdez-Scantling dropped it.
The Chiefs went on to lose. Week 12, also the week of Thanksgiving. Another injury alert. Joe Burrow, unfortunately, had his season come to a close after tearing a ligament in his wrist. The Eagles found themselves in another huge game that came down to the wire, this time against the Bills. This game went into overtime after an incredible 59-yarder by Jake Elliott.
And Elliott puts the toe on it, and the kick is good!
And after the Bills scored a field goal in overtime, Hurts ran in the game-winning touchdown.
Hurts to the end zone, and the Eagles have won it!
Man, the Eagles look like a real contender. They're destined to make a deep playoff run. Now, one of my favorite moments of the entire season took place in the Cowboys-Commanders Thanksgiving Day game, when Deron Bland, shout out to my fellow Sac State alum, intercepted this pass and scored his record-breaking 5th pick six of the season.
This is history. If Bland can take it the distance, this will be the record. Bland for the 5th time has a pick six. It's never happened in the history of the NFL.
What an amazing call by Jim Nantz to add to this moment. Week 13. In the NFC Championship rematch, Purdy and the Niners showed that things may have been different if Purdy never got hurt.
And he goes far side of the field, McCaffrey wide open inside.
He threw 4 touchdowns as the Niners blew out the Eagles.
Now Jennings with a great move, and he's going to score.
Also, the Packers upset the Chiefs. By this point, Jordan Love was really starting to look like the real deal. And in the year of the backup quarterback, the Bengals' Jake Browning threw for over 350 yards in an upset victory over the Jags on Monday Night Football. Week 14, injury alert once again. Now it's Justin Herbert and CJ Stroud. Stroud suffered a concussion and was only going to miss a game or two, whereas Herbert was done for the year.
Well, and when you have those big, giant quarterback ET fingers, they're more likely to get broken. Like
You mean like this?
Yeah.
The Jags, for the second week in a row, lose to a team with a backup quarterback. This time, it's old man Joe Flacco, who was signed off the streets by the Browns to be the team's 4th starter of the season. He threw 3 touchdowns on them.
Flacco throws, open man, David Bell!
Like I said, this was the year of the backup quarterback. Even Zach Wilson balled out this week. And once again, the Eagles got blown out. But for the 2 most shocking moments of the week, that goes to the crazy 2-touchdown rally with less than 3 minutes to go by Levis and the Titans on Monday Night Football versus the Dolphins.
Dives and scores.
And most of all, the biggest shocker of this week was the ending to the Bills-Chiefs game. After one of the wildest plays we've ever seen,
The pass is to an open Travis Kelce, who flings it back over to Tony. My goodness.
it was all for nothing, as Tony had lined up offsides. Week 15. Like I said, year of the backups. Jake Browning balled out once again, and Drew Lock rallied the Seahawks versus the Eagles. But easily the biggest shocker of this week was the Raiders, 1 week after firing Josh McDaniels, completely annihilated the Chargers. The game was 42-0 at halftime and ended 63-21. It was a game where the team who just fired their coach,
oh baby, unbelievable,
beat down the other team so badly that they fired their coach.
I mean, there are bad dreams and there are crazy bad dreams.
Week 16. The single most impressive individual performance of this week was by Amari Cooper.
Flacco does get rid of it. Oh, sideline grab, Amari Cooper!
Who went off for a franchise record 265 yards versus the Texans. However, the most shocking moment of this week came from the most anticipated regular season game of the season, where the top 2 teams in the NFL, the Ravens and Niners, faced off in Santa Clara. Seen as the underdog, the Ravens just completely dominated that game, pretty much solidifying Lamar Jackson's case for MVP over Brock Purdy, and leaving the Ravens as the frontrunner to win it all.
Lamar and Purdy, like different stratosphere, different everything. The Ravens had a star quarterback, the Niners do not, and that's why they won by 2 touchdowns. It wasn't even close.
Week 17. Flacco mania had officially taken over not just Cleveland.
Would you like to say I'm sorry to Joe Flacco for anything you said that was mean?
I'm sorry for wishing your arm fell off every time you threw a football.
But the NFL, after he had another huge performance for the Browns. But the most shocking moment of the week, and the most talked about moment, was the ending to the Lions-Cowboys game.
There's St. Brown, head of steam, touchdown!
After making the decision to go for two and the win, the Lions seemed to have converted to take the lead. But then a discussion ensued, and apparently there was a mix-up with who reported in as eligible. After the penalty, the Lions still went for the two-point conversion, and they didn't get it.
Incomplete! And now the Cowboys maintain their lead,
resulting in the most controversial loss of the season. Week 18, also the final week of the regular season. Two moments stand out. The first goes to Jameis Winston. This is just another classic to add to the list of Jameis Winston moments.
Who cares if the Falcons like it? It's a division game. We don't like them.
But the biggest actually meaningful shocker goes to the Texans-Colts game. In what was essentially a playoff game for the division, the Colts, in the red zone down 6 with less than 2 minutes to go, had a chance to go take the lead. But this happened on 4th down.
It's in Minshew's hand, and a drop by Goodson.
Talk about an absolute heartbreaker to end the season. The NFL playoffs, the wildcard round. The Browns finished the regular season with the #1 pass defense, but versus Houston, rookie CJ Stroud had a near perfect QB rating and 3 touchdowns, as the Texans blew out the Browns. Also, the Eagles looked lifeless versus the Bucs, as if they showed up for a preseason game.
When you see the angles of these guys and the way they approach tackling, it's crazy. Like nobody plays together. Put them in a cup.
But those two moments weren't as shocking as what happened in Dallas.
End zone, it is caught for the touchdown!
Despite being huge underdogs, Jordan Love and the Packers destroyed the Cowboys. At one point, they possessed a 48-16 lead in the 4th quarter. It was hard to imagine that the Packers, who at one point were 6-8, could pull off something like this. The divisional round. The Lions advanced to the NFC Championship, which hadn't happened in forever. The Bills hosted the Chiefs in what became Patrick Mahomes' first ever true road playoff game. The Bills needed this 44-yard field goal to tie the game, but it missed. But the more shocking moment of this weekend was the Packers nearly pulling off another stunning victory, this time versus the 49ers. Green Bay led almost the entire game, but after a missed kick late and a spectacular drive led by Brock Purdy, the Niners took the lead and won by the skin of their teeth. Championship weekend. The Lions got off to a hot start in Santa Clara, taking a commanding 3-score lead in the second half. But after the Niners cut it to a 2-score game, the Lions had a chance to put themselves up 3 scores again. But instead, they elected to go aggressive, as they always do, going for it on 4th down, but failed. Then this insane catch happened. From this moment, Detroit imploded, and the Niners went on to escape another close game.
Throws on the run, incomplete!
And in the AFC Championship, the Ravens abandoned the run, the thing that got them there in the first place. Their running backs only accounted for 6 carries, which was hard to imagine that the game would go that way beforehand. The Super Bowl. As far as in the game, the biggest shocker was definitely when this punt bounced off one of the Niners players' legs, resulting in a Chiefs recovery and their first touchdown of the game. This was a huge swing in momentum, but honestly, the biggest shocker to me was something that didn't even happen in the game technically, and that was when Dre Greenlaw tore his Achilles as he was jogging onto the field. This was such a freak injury, and for it to happen to one of the most important players on the Niners defense, that was just brutal.
Try a lateral or whatever here. Meanwhile, he just tries to get away from everybody, throws it into the end zone, into a lot of traffic, and there's a pick on the other side. And coming back from the end zone is Holland, and Holland is at the midfield, and Holland is inside the 40, and Holland is inside the 20. Can you believe